What's up, my wizards? It's Dev, back from that channel down there, MtG, and we got a cool little thing for you today. This is something we're going to start doing once a week, hopefully, if we can keep up the pace. This is the new deck of the week. What we do is we scour all of the websites, Star City, TCG Player, we got Wizards, there's a couple of other sites that do this, and we find our favorite new deck of the week. Usually the thing that looks the most fun, or that might have an actual impact on the format, and I'm gonna really like doing this, honestly. I love looking at new deck lists and I love seeing exciting stuff, so stick with us, subscribe to us, you'll see this video once a week, and if you're a higher level Magic player, you might see your deck on this channel, so you know, that's pretty exciting, right? Let's get right to it. Our first deck of the week, it was piloted at a Star City Games Invitational Qualifier by both Jonathan Cotton and David Ellenberg. Slightly different versions of the deck. Jonathan Cotton finished a little higher, so I'm going to use his version for today. Well, the deck is sort of like a control deck, but it does still play 10 dragons, so let's go ahead and tell you what we're going for here. We're playing 2 copies of Icefall Regent in the deck. I think that as the standard season opens up, people are really coming around to Icefall Regent. It's a fantastic card, tough to target, and takes out something when it comes into play. The rest are Dragonlords. We got 1 copy of Dragonlord Atarka, 1 copy of Dragonlord Silumgar over here, and then the heavy hitters, 3 copies of Dragonlord Dromoka, and 3 copies of Dragonlord Ojutai. Yeah, so that is all in all 8 Dragonlords. Dromoka obviously helps out against other control decks and mid-range decks for that matter that want to remove your dudes on your turn like a bunch of jerks. And Silumgar obviously takes a threat away from them, and Atarka is just Atarka. He hits the board like, ah, and like starts taking stuff out. So, you know, we can hardcast Atarka. Why don't we just do that? All of these are obviously ridiculous threats in their own way, but all in different ways and against different decks. So, yeah, I really like the dragon setup here. 8 Dragon Lords and 2 Icefall Regents. Bunch of power. So, yeah, can't really fault that. They're using the dragon stick to beat people over the head, and that seems like a lot of fun. 1 Planeswalker in this team. This is one, can you guess? I don't even have to put the card up here. It's Ugin the Spirit Dragon, and everyone knows that. 1 copy of Ugin, 4 reasons. 2 artifacts before we go on to the spells here. Those 2 artifacts are obviously 2 copies of Perilous Vault in this thing. We can't run Crux of Fate or Hero's Downfall because we can't reliably pay black mana for things, especially 2 black mana. So definitely going to go with the 2 copies of Perilous Vault. I can't fault them at all. It seems like a lot of the time you're going to be Perilous Vaulting, protecting yourself early game with counters and stuff like that. Perilous Vault, wipe the board, start dropping huge threats that they really can't deal with. So yeah, I can get behind Perilous Vault as mass removal, definitely. In a 5-color deck, makes sense to have a mass removal artifact, so kudos to you for that idea. Yeah, seems good. Now let's move on to the spells. Let's run through these super fast. This is 2 Encase and Ice in the main deck. We've seen a couple of articles recently, sort of the case for main deck Encase. Which is a funny sentence, but yeah, I'd say it belongs in the main deck. We see a million different threats with those 2 colors, and yeah, pretty much does all the things that we needed to do. I love Encase and Ice, and I'm glad it's seeing main deck play now, because it is hard removal in a lot of situations for blue. So, brava, Encase and Ice, you have made it, friend. We're playing 2 copies of Anticipate in this thing because we want to draw cards. It's a control deck. And it's 5 colors, and we need to draw cards, so Anticipate. 1 copy of Voyage is in. This is sort of slick removal right here. We want a tempo for a turn and scry something away. Or, if they want to kill one of our dragons, we're like, no, you can't kill my dragon, and I get to scry. So, yeah, that's always a good feeling. So, I support the 1 copy of Voyage is in. The sort of singleton, I can save my dude, or I can remove your dude and just run over your face with some dragons. A lot of sort of play in this card, and I think it's a sleeper, honestly. I don't think that people are using this card enough. I think it's much better than people give it credit for a lot of the time. So kudos to you again for seeing the value in Voyage's End. We have 4 copies of the hottest counterspell in the format. This is 4 Silumgar's Scorn. Silumgar's Scorn is really cool. And we've obviously got more than enough dragons to make this a hard counter like 80% of the time. So yeah, you should play it. Play this card. Don't have to discuss it. It's awesome. That's one of the main reasons the deck is blue, I'm assuming. So yeah, Silumgar's Scorn. Do it. Let's keep talking about counters. We got 2 copies of Nullify in the deck. Nullify does not see much main deck play, but probably should, because even the non-aggro decks, like, they're going to play, for instance, like, Control is going to play creatures against you now because they all play Ojutai pretty much. Some of them play Icefall Regent. There's going to be creatures, so you should probably main deck Nullify. Not to mention the enchantments we see in the format, so total support of main deck Nullify. Do it. 1 copy of Disdainful Stroke. We're really covering our bases with the counters in this deck. But, again, I don't blame him. This counters lots of stuff. Everything from the aforementioned Ojutai, every Dragonlord, to Siege Rhino, to lots of ish. Let's finish off the counterspells. Counterspell barrage ends with 4 copies of Dissolve. So we've got the full 4 Silumgar Scorn, the full 4 Dissolve, and some supplementary counters, making 11 counterspells in this deck, which is a little more, a couple more than a lot of the control decks play. Not to mention, we've got some game against Control in the form of Dragonlord Dromoka. This is very good to have all 11 of these counterspells. I feel like what's funny is as the format moves more towards Control, we just see decks playing more counterspells. More and more counterspells. The deck gets more and more, or format getting more and more control-y here, and I can understand why. But we see, like, for instance, the rise of Dromoka. He's been a lot in Standard now. The last few weeks, more than he was at the beginning. Ojutai's been an all-star from the beginning, and Dromoka's just now getting his comeuppance because Control is so good, and because, of course, Abzan is everywhere, and we don't want our guys getting removed on our turn. So, tirade over for now. 3 copies of Dig Through Time. You knew you were going to see this eventually. It's amazing there aren't 4, right? Seldom do we see a control deck without 4 Dig Through Time. 3 Dig is still enough to be seeing Dig Through Time all the time, and it's probably one of the top 3 cards in the format, so if you're playing a mostly blue deck, play Dig Through Time, because you'll draw the 2 best cards out of the top 7 of your deck for often 2 mana. Put it that way, it's like the best Magic card almost ever. So, play Dig Through Time. Let's finish off this deck here. This is 1 copy of Dragonlord's Prerogative, of course. I mean, 10 dragons, we want to draw 4, and we don't want it to be countered. As you can see, this deck is sort of leans against Control a lot of the way, which makes sense because we see an awful lot of Control recently. Even mid-range decks sort of masquerade as Control decks, which is what this is. This deck is, at its heart, a mid-range deck that plays a bunch of counterspells. I mean, look at all the crazy threats we have. A regular Control deck will play counters and removal, and 1 Pearl Lake Ancient, and 1 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, maybe 1 Elspeth, you know, but we are playing a ton of threats in this deck. If you can't tell, I've sort of moved on to this is what we're going to say about this deck. I'm going to go ahead and give it power rankings down here. We'll get to the board in a second because I think it's really neat. Power rankings are fairly strong for this deck. We're playing a lot of the absolute most powerful cards in the format. We're not a super speedy deck or anything, but we are incredibly versatile. I feel like we do even better post-board than we do game 1, even though we have good game 1. Our bugaboo is aggro, especially mono-red aggro, and Atarka, Atarka aggro, really hurt a lot. They can win the game 1. It seems as though they can win the game 1 fairly easily, but as you can tell, we've got a lot in the sideboard. The sideboard is fairly funny looking. I'm going to go ahead and post that so that the as you can tell makes sense. Yeah, so this is the board for this deck. Master of Waves, Omenspeaker. I feel like these are probably, you know, against aggro cards. Especially I like the inclusion of Omenspeaker, another card that, and Tony will agree with me on this channel. Tony and I both think that Omenspeaker should have gotten far more play than it's gotten. The rest of the sideboard looks great. And sort of makes itself. We've got other Dragonlords against things. Aether Spouts against aggro, Soul of Ravnica against everything. Disdainful Stroke against mid-range and control decks. So we've got our bases covered here. Again, we're fairly versatile. I really like this deck, so congratulations to John Cotton and David Ellenberg. You guys put together something really, really cool here, I think. One of the cooler decks in the entire format. Everyone wants to play mono blue. What's the best way to do that? Play 5 colors. So, good job. That is how you think outside the box and create a really powerful Magic deck. And I hope that everyone in the subscribers liked it. So, yeah. And anyway, if you enjoyed this content, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Strictly Better MTG. I'm Devin from that channel. We will see you wizards later. Thanks for watching.